Hi there, Buick owners. Today on your 2020 Buick Envision, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Blue Ox's second vehicle breakaway kit for the Patriot Braking System. And this is what our second vehicle kit looks like. You're going to get a breakaway switch as well as the compatible cable that connects to the breakaway switch and also connects to the Blue Ox Patriot Braking System. And this is a great kit if you have multiple vehicles that you like to flat tow with and you're already using a Blue Ox Patriot. It's a portable system. It easily moves from one vehicle to another, but you do need that breakaway switch installed. This kit's going to get those other vehicles set up and going. Or maybe the vehicle you were flat towing with, you've now retired that vehicle, you're done with it, you got a new one, and you want to use your Patriot and start flat towing with that one. The second vehicle kit's an easy way for you to get that reinstalled, because pulling this out of here on an old unit can be difficult to get those wires out without damaging anything. So it's a good idea to just go ahead and buy a new one and get it installed on here to ensure that you've got the safety net for your braking system in the event of a catastrophic disconnect. Now we talked about what comes with this kit. Some items that you might want to consider with your second vehicle kit here is some brackets. We've got no drill brackets available here at etrailer, and you also need mounting hardware. It doesn't come with its own mounting hardware. Some of the brackets that you'll get can come with hardware that you can use, and if you don't purchase any bracketry, maybe the base plate that you're putting on your new vehicle or your other vehicle has a mounting location on it. If the base plate didn't come with hardware, you can just get some at your local hardware store. I do recommend using a nylon locking nut on your breakaway switch when you bolt it in, just to ensure it can't back off and it can still have a little bit of movement to it. Because when you do have a breakaway event and your breakaway cable's hooked up, depending on maybe you were in mid-turn or something, this switch does need to be pulled straight to pull the pin out. So having a little bit of pivot will help ensure that it's going to pull that pin properly. And the cable routes from our breakaway switch through the firewall inside the vehicle so it can plug into the unit here. Now on your Envision here, running the cable can be a bit of a challenge. There's a grommet located behind the dash here, but it's just tight and it's hard to get everything through. The large size of the 3mm jack head here, even though it doesn't seem very big, smaller than my pinky, it is still a challenge to get it to pass through the grommet. But once you've got it in, it's as simple as plugging it in and you're ready to go. And what's cool about this one, we've got it plugged into the old school Blue Ox original Patriot model. But if you've got one of the newer models, this will work with any of the models in the series, the Patriot 1, 2, or 3. Now that we've covered some of the features of our breakaway kit, if you follow along with me, I'll show you how I got the cable routed inside and how I got our breakaway switch mounted up at the front. Now the location where you put your breakaway switch is going to vary depending on which base plate you've got. Some of them come with attachment points. We're going to be putting ours on the base plate here. We just got done installing the base plate, so that's why we've got our fascia off, and that's the best time to finish up the accessories that you might have for your flat tow setup, such as your diode wiring and your braking system like we're doing now. So we're going to go ahead and take our hardware here. This sometimes comes provided with your base plate. If not, you can pick it up at your local hardware store. We're just using a fender washer and a small 8mm bolt. We're going to go through our breakaway switch on the bottom, and we'll just come up through the mounting attachment here on our base plate, and then on the opposite side we're just going to secure that with a nylon locking nut. We can then tighten those down with the appropriate sizes. Our hardware here is going to use a 10mm socket and wrench. And we don't want it to be crazy tight. It does need to be able to pivot here so it can be in the appropriate spot that the tether is pulling the breakaway pin. So it's got a nylon locking nut on it, so that way it cannot back off and still be able to pivot like this. Next, we'll have to take the cable that comes included with our kit and we're going to route it from our breakaway switch inside the vehicle so it can connect to the Patriot system. We've got the double prong end down here. That's going to match up with the connector on our breakaway switch. So we're just going to plug those two together. And then our cable just routes from here. It kind of follows our diode wiring. We go across the base plate. Once we get across the base plate, we then go up here. And it kind of goes right in behind the headlight on the driver's side. And then we just route the wire across, running it down the side just like this. Once we get to the opening right next to the driver's side headlight, we just kind of stay behind the headlight, just routing it underneath and then going along the driver's side edge here until we reach the plastic component that covers up our wiper assembly. Once we get to this point here, we'll find a grommet that we can use to get inside the vehicle. We are going to have to pull up a couple of these push pins. You'll see there's a little opening on one side of these. You can use that opening to get a flat screwdriver or a trim panel tool underneath and then pop up the center of the pin, and then you can pull the whole pin out. Sometimes the center will come out by itself, and sometimes the entire pin will come out. Here's the whole pin. If the center comes out and this stays behind, you can just pull this out and then connect the two back together. We're going to do that with the next one and the one after that. These three should be good enough to get us enough lift that we need on this panel to get to the grommet. Once you remove those pins, you can pull up on the panel and you can see you've got a gap here now that you can get your hand in. I went ahead and used the trim panel tool and just stuck it underneath to hold it up. Now at this point I recommend using a long drill bit. You can get pretty long drill bits. I would recommend one about 1 foot to 1.5 feet, and you can get in here and you can drill through the grommet just to the left of the wiring here, because it's going to pass through right on the other side. There's nothing on the other side, just to the left of the wiring. And that way you can have a hole that you can easily pass your wiring through. So I've already passed a fish wire through. We're using a piece of air line. So I'm just going to get my hand up in here and grab that air line that I poked through from the other side. And now we can use this to attach our wires. I'm going to go ahead and head to the inside now, and I'll show you on the inside where you can find the other side of that hole that you're going to drill out and where we passed the fish wire through that hole. So now we're on the inside. You'll have a panel here underneath on the driver's side. We're going to remove that. There's a screw on each side we'll take out with a 7mm socket. And then there is a tab here in the back where it's in the firewall. You want to just take your screwdriver and put it on top here and push down on that tab to push it down to release it. Then you can pull this out and set it aside. And now we're looking pretty much straight up and to the left underneath the dash. If you were to look where your release lever is for your hood, if you were to just go straight up from there and towards the firewall, you'll see your grommet here. There's our grommet. And right below that is the cable for the hood release. So you can see the hole we poked our fish wire through. I'm kind of jiggling it here so you can see. We're going to use this as a fish wire. We'll tape our wires to it and pull our wires through. So I went ahead and took the end of our harness here that had the single 3.5mm jack end and taped it to our fish wire. And then we're going to go on the inside, we're going to pull our fish wire, and that'll pull our wire to the inside. And now that we've got our cable routed inside here, that pretty much completes our installation. We can reinstall the panels that we had taken down to get it routed in, reverse order of how I removed them. And you can zip tie up your wiring to make sure that it stays nice and neat. But at this point, it just plugs into your Blue Ox unit when you're ready to use it. Now that we've got our cable run, all we need to do now is plug it into our unit to test it out. So I've gone ahead and put our Patriot in here, plug it into the unit. We'll go ahead and power it on. Let it go through its normal setup process here. All right, we're going to hit setup on this unit. It's going to go ahead and calibrate real quick, and once we've got it calibrated, we can pull our breakaway switch pin and verify that it activates the system. Now we'll just pull our breakaway switch pin. And you can see when we pull the breakaway switch pin, it activates our system to help our vehicle come to a safe stop if we do have a catastrophic disconnect. And that completes our installation of Blue Ox's second vehicle breakaway kit for their Patriot braking system.